Hi guys, it's Mo from the Deep End, live and without a safety net on the internet. So pray for us all now and at the hour of my internet interface. Um, I promised you guys a breakdown of the incomprehensible video that was played on the 16th day of the trial in the afternoon for the Letitia Stauch case. This is still the forensic competency interview with female doctor, pure uncut Ambien, and male doctor who decided not to risk his reputation showing up in court, I'm guessing. I don't know. Don't come for me. This is allegedly, sir. Um, During this time, the cameras seem to focus on Letitia, and she still looks very much like she lives under a bridge and is waiting for a billy goat to come along to eat. According to the lawyers, this clip was 30 minutes long. According to me, it was 100 years long because it is full of Letitia random sentences that don't make sense right after the sentence you put in. But I am here to make it sort of make sense to you guys. It's a job and a half. I'm just one Mo. All right. So T states, and now this is almost directly, I think, after the first very long segment that I broke down. And I am sorry about the length of that video, but it just took that long to get through all of her shenanigans, okay? T is kind of sort of a little bit tearful, but somewhat stoic. Her fake crying is over. Bottom line, she states that she has a hard time believing any of this is real, that she, is able to cope some days and sort of take it out of her mind and, pretend that the murder is sort of a dream or nightmare, depending on what she says. And then other days she reports suffering debilitating depression. And please, yes, you should. You were an awful human being. I believe I speak for all of us. Again, this interview was recorded on a Talkboy from Home Alone 2, so it's hard to gather exact quotes from her like I wasn't able to in the other video. Um, T is emphatic that she has never done anything like this. She's never been a criminal. She's not like any other criminal. She is just here to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the T truth to her. She does claim that she has had in the past, and these are self-reported, but she does state that they will be backed up by family members. She does state that she's had self-reported manic episodes where she will just up and take trips, up and leave, up and take Harley to Dubai, or she claims that she was a jet set lifestyle person, ninja spy that was going here, there, and everywhere. And her family has, well, now that the trial has pretty much rested and we're waiting for closing statements, we'll never be able to corroborate that. But again, it's a T story, so that's the truth. This woman has not even been in the zip code of the truth her entire life. So I am not waiting for any revelations of truthiness. Uh, Again, all of these manic episodes are not corroborated by anyone but T. The female doctor tries to bring us back into the nebula of story 14 sub 5, sub A, prompting T with a very calm voice, claiming that she thought she and Lana had brought Gannon's body up the stairs. T runs with this story like she runs with everything. She claims that the goal was to get Gannon to the hospital. She had to go up the stairs in the house despite prior stating that she was helping Gannon get in the hospital. Now, in this next sentence, in this next breath, she is still unaware that she is carrying Gannon. The doctor interjects with a question. It is the female doctor, and she says, "Why move the body?" T claims she don't know nothing about why that happened. Marie came over, she protected her, and they all decided Marie is in charge of Taylor, Christina, Fredo, all of her other personalities. Now, the camera has been focused completely on the defense table as this clip is being played. T's spine has left the building. Her head is down on the desk. Now, I'm going to give her a little bit of grace, which is hard. She did claim that she was suffering, the stomach issues, and she was throwing up to the point that the very nice judge made a kind of signal for her defense team so they could get her out and unshackled before she blew chunks. So I am giving her that little bit of grace that maybe she was hovering over a trash can. As a mother of six, I can tell you 6 times of morning sickness. I have been there. Now, no, she is not pregnant. I don't think she's ever been, but I'm just saying I'm going to give her that little bit of grace. She claims that Maria wasn't trying to conceal, hide, or in any way, mess up finding Gannon. She just acts on instincts and protections, and she protects. Now, yesterday it was Leticia. So I have no idea how to say this heifer's name. I just don't. I don't even think she does. Her defense team clearly doesn't. Okay, focus. Back on the notes. Sorry, I cannot. Maria's kind of motto is they need to be eliminated and details be damned. T claims that she was just rapidly, at this point, right about Gannon's death and the initial hiding of the body in her car, she was rapidly switching from Marie to herself to Marie to herself. So she would find herself in places, have no idea how she got there. And then Marie would decide to take over again. Now, this is where I need her to stick with one story. If you're going to tell a lie, commit. She goes into Maria not being triggered so much by the man in the cape, but the fact that the color of the capes was red and black. Now, here's the problem with that, Letitia. In your last hour and 30 minutes that I was subjected to, you claimed that all of this could have been avoided if you turned on the light and were able to see the colors of this cape because it was Gannon's comforter. Stick with one lie, please, for the love of tiny baby Jesus, okay? T claims that the fire and, you know, all of that just triggered her. And she was now at a point where she was seeing flashbacks of her dead stepdad from beyond and other people. And she was just in a very vulnerable state. And Maria was able to take control more than Maria normally does. Um, about, she does talk about Gannon's stepfather messing with him. Now, I have issue with this and her bringing this up after the testimony of Dr. Lewis talking about Letitia giving Gannon a bunch of enemas for no reasons and saying that Gannon wanted enemas. So I take her accusations of anyone with 27 grains of salt plus a whole can of salt plus a salt lick, okay? This woman is just insane. Now, the next 30 to 45 seconds are garbled, but you can clearly hear after that, I don't know if something was moving, the female doctor again asking, why did you move the body? And she's still unable to answer. T again is emphatic. I did not mean to cause harm. It's, about hiding Gannon's body, about telling all these lies. She didn't know what was real or not. Again, garble, 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 garble. T states, as a matter of fact, that there were a lot of in and outs for Marie's time. She claims again, trying to really impress upon the interviewers, because there was both a female and a male interviewer, that she really has a hard time with red and black. Now, I am not on the full pettyverse wagon today. I just couldn't find a red shirt that I wanted to wear and iron. So red hair, black shirt, that's how petty we are going today on the pettyverse. I will be queen of the pettyverse later. Now, she said that she's often had these flashbacks of even seeing her dead father or her dead stepfather, or, him being sort of a shadow. And she claims that there's a documentation of it that her families can, all kind of corroborate that she has always sort of been, seeing things that weren't there or switching personalities. Again, both cases or both sides have rested. So I don't think that we are going to get any of this cooperation unless the state decides to bring a rebuttal witness on Friday. Today is Thursday when I'm recording this. And I believe that the judge has other things on his docket, so he keeps Thursdays clear so he can get that stuff done. So I will try to update shortly if there is a rebuttal. Mr. Mo has figured out StreamYard. I do not have to bribe a young teenage person with Hot Pockets and brownies to teach me the technical stuff. Yet. Mr. Mo says we've got it figured out. So, also, my mobile Mo unit is going to become a permanent fixture somewhere, not my panic room, which is sad, but it is going to be put somewhere where smallish hands can't get to it. All right. I'm very sorry for the tangents. I'm just so excited that my mobile Mo unit is actually going to get a home. I feel like a real YouTuber. T claims that if you were to test her for protectiveness, she would score a 90%. I'm pretty sure that I took my spine out of alignment when I rolled my eyes so damned hard at this. I am surprised that neither of the doctors didn't fall out of their seats trying to contain the massive eye roll that I had. I did it for them. I almost fell out of my chair. We got you covered here, doctors. Marie then goes on too. She has extreme powers. Marie is super strong. She is super protective, and she is super there to take responsibility when Letitia doesn't want to. That is her superpower. T claims that she has had these alts for years. Her family and her grandfather used to say there's something wrong with that youngin'. His words, not mine, but I might agree. Then the grandmother would say, no, it's just imaginary friends. Now, T claims that no, this was not simply a child having imaginary friends. This was full on her going into alternate personalities to escape the abuse that she claims happened. Now, she said that there were several doctors that she went to for head injuries and things like that, and, just not being quite right. The boy ain't right, the girl ain't right. But that these doctors burned their medical records or destroyed them after 5 years, so there's really no evidence of sorts, if you will, conveniently. The feed again breaks down. T claimed that she was able to, over the years, meet some of her alters and kind of understand, like she could see Taylor, Victoria. Maria has always been a CUNT cannoli. So she has just always been that, and it's hard to talk to her. Okay. Maria, again, only comes out in very extreme situations. The female doctor asks T how she has conversations with these alternate personalities. T goes on a random story, like I sometimes do, to talk about her trying to dissect how and why she feels certain ways that triggers her different alts, I guess. She claims that when she was younger, her stepfather would take her to a nephew's house, and that nephew always said that there was something wrong about T for a young age. Maria would trigger memories in T as a young child of her trying to attack her stepfather. Again, none of this can be corroborated. But then T kind of spouts off that her mother had a mental illness too. But again, this is diagnosis by Dr. T, and I thought that her fake diploma was in education, so I am not quite sure. The female doctor, grasping onto anything to keep this conversation going and leading to some sort of point, refocuses and redirects T into this claim that, she can have a conversation with Maria. And T talks about that other people would come to see her during this time about her mental health. Now, I don't know if this is the time that Dr. Lewis was also conducting interviews, but T states that it is very hard on her to get into Maria mode because she has to put herself back in sort of when she was abused and kind of relive all those memories. I'd like to take a hard stop here. And I'm going to say something that I totally agree with, but I need to caveat it. If these things happen to Letitia the child, Letitia the young adult, I feel sorry for you. That kind of abuse destroys a soul. It destroys your very being, your feeling of safety, your feeling of, trust, and anything else. So if that happened to the young Letitia, you have my fullest sympathies. And I wish someone had stopped that, your mother, your any of your relatives. If any of this happened, I wish it had stopped. But just because you were preyed on by a monster doesn't mean you get to be a monster yourself. That is not an excuse. So I am sorry for that young child, but there's a point at which you become a monster, not the victim. All right, I promise. I promise I will stay on track, but I really felt like I needed to say that because if true, she had a horrible childhood, but so do a lot of people. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. It's a bit confusing again because I don't know who these other mental health people that she's talking about. If she's talking about the first sort of very sweet Scottish person that she talked to, the first doctor that was on the stand for the state. And the female doctor does ask a question about how Letitia sees herself when Maria is in charge. T claims that she's kind of behind herself and above herself, almost like she's playing Maria, or Maria's playing a first person video game, and she kind of has that front forward sort of hand view. I don't know. Now, again, she does go into, it is just very hard for Maria mode to come out. She has to go back and live in those situations that happened there, and the doctor does not want to go into T's childhood trauma. Again, this is just a competency interview. They are not going to be the doctors treating, so they don't want to get into anything that is going to cause trauma that they are not going to be able to deal with. It kind of goes in and out of her explaining that, again, Marie is the protector for about 2 or 3 minutes. And T does state that she could bring Maria out, but she'll need to see case evidence. Now, I don't know if you saw my other video because it was super duper long and I am so sorry, but it was towards the end that Letitia claimed that she had memorized the autopsy. Now, I don't know about you in the internet world, but just hearing about what happened to this little boy was bad enough. And, sort of accidentally seeing some of the autopsy photos was just enough to just about break me that day. And I didn't even know Gannon before this trial. Okay. I didn't know that, and that nearly broke me. So to have obsessed to where the depths of certain stab wounds, you're a monster. You're just a monster and you need to be catapulted into the sun, lady. No, just no. You as carbon to renew the universe is just about the only useful thing you can do now. It's important to note that while this clip is going, in relation to the other longer clip, she is much more subdued, less hand gestures, less fidgeting. I mean, she is in a more subdued Letitia state, which I don't know if that's good or bad because we've seen her van video and she goes from calm to that was some demonic looking tea moments. The male doctor does ask, he's still unclear about the Gannon situation, and he would like to clarify the order. Hashtag wouldn't we all? T claims that she is not able to recall anything when she is in Maria mode. Um, if in fact she were in Maria mode right at that very moment of the interview, she would not be able to remember what she talked about and who the doctors were. Again, she explains that Maria kind of came out when she was being sexually abused by her stepfather. She was able to escape into these other little worlds with Veronica, with Taylor, with Christina, the Olympic person, um, escape to worlds where she wasn't being abused. Um, she claims that Christina was invented when her mother would leave her either to go to be out with her stepfather when they were dating or just with other men. And T was able to escape so deeply into her mind that she could manufacture the 1992 Olympics gymnastic sort of setup in her living room. And I don't know, do a triple sow cow or a triple lutz. Yes, I know that's skating, but I don't know the fancy dancy terms for super duper handstand that looks really, really hard for someone that falls while going upstairs. So bear with me. I'm not a sportsy person. She claims that she has gotten better at controlling her alts, that they will all use her name. It's amazing. Like when she was getting her degrees or being a teacher, that, the other alts would come out, but they all still knew that they had to be Letitia, you know, front facing to the world, except for Maria. Maria is just balls out all the time. Or maybe I should say tits out. She's out. She's out and wild when she comes out. T brings up a certain situation where she claims in the jail that you can actually see Maria coming out and her being completely confused when Maria leaves. She claims that she was remembering to get in line for the phones, and due to construction in the jail, she was the ninth person in line, from what I can tell. And something about the number nine triggered her about the cell she was in when she was in segregation, and segregation caused her to create an entirely new alt named Janelle. But back to this Marie part of our episode. Marie went ham because apparently she was just incredibly traumatized by being in segregation. So she called her friend Amy when it was her turn to talk. She talked Russo Spanglish, I guess, to Amy from what was reported after the fact. Then Maria took Letitia's body up the stairs, and I guess this pod is dual leveled, and tried to bungee jump off the top thing. I have a strong vision of Bender from Futurama saying, do a flip. So I'm not sure what type of person that makes me. um, and Letitia becomes actually kind of irate that Maria got her sent back to segregation and in a turtle suit because she tried to jump off a second story, balustrade or whatever it is that is called in the jail. Um, we also have the doctor saying something to the effect of, I bet you money, and then garble, garble, garble. Can we set up a GoFundMe for all these places to at least get a Logitech? I am tech illiterate, and Mr. Mo got me a Logitech, and I can semi-functionally use it. So if I can use it, can we please teach everyone else to use it? Um, T does claim that her alts can operate on a higher level. So they can, drive her across country, shenaniganize the hotels so they don't have to pay for two people and two dogs. Keep the AC on so Ganon's body doesn't, thaw out too quickly. Apparently, these alts are better at lifing than I am because I can barely sometimes chew gum and walk. She admits that she does She is able to drive again, all do all these things in her alts. She even claims she's done this before where she completely blacks out and went to Jamaica. I have no idea. Again, she claims that there is going to be documentation from her family, from relatives, that she has had all the issues from childhood. The male doctor does kind of giggle and ask, hey, if, these alts were doing your work, did they sign your name? And T's like, of course, duh, they all work for me. Come on now. The doctor does then the male doctor is the real hero here, bringing us back to reality where lies can't hide. Excuse me. This cup, especially for Tisha, she claims, or he comes out and he asks, so wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Slow back, roll back. How do these alts get on airplanes? Since we now have to like strip down to our skivvies and take our shoes off, which is really, really gross. I'm not a feet person. No, no. I don't want to take my shoes off where everyone else has taken their shoes off. T claims, again, these alts, they all work for her. So they definitely just used her ID, with the one exception that stay in the Canadian outpatient or inpatient medical center for mental health. That was done by Maria Sanchez. Maria Sanchez skipped over the border, I guess, to the great northern wilds of Canada to get mental health. So that definitely should be, documented, I'm sure. Then T launches into a story about how she hurt her hand in jail as Maria, and then when she came out of it, she was just shocked that, she had broken or hurt her hand. Apparently, she and another inmate were kind of getting into a scuffle fight, something or other, and Maria came out, but Maria, I guess, hit a wall, or Maria snapped, but someone snapped harder. I don't know. I kind of would pay for the footage of this, though. Just saying. Now, according to Letitia, her friend Amy, that she called right before the bungee jumping off the second building, is going to be able to claim that she spoke Russian in this phone call. And not just Russian, but better Russian than the Russian people. Not a narcissist at all, Artisha. Very, very, very humble and kind. The doctor asks if Letitia, in fact, speaks Russian, and she answers, no, of course not. And then he asked, where would Maria have learned Russian? Maria has been on many missions, and T has never been near Russia, but maybe Maria did. T then jumps back in time to claiming she was almost a feral woodland child, like one of those foundlings, that because she didn't keep her room clean or something. It's a bit garbled, but in her childhood, her family, mother slash stepfather, made her live outside in the forest. And she was traumatized by that, but also two people died. Now, T is not one for context, so I don't know if she means she stumbled upon two dead bodies while she was being a woodland pixie, or if two family members died and it affected her greatly. Again, this is a T story, and T stories don't have to make sense because she is just a C cannoli, okay? T claims that, again, these alts were here to protect her from the trauma. And we've gone over, if trauma happened, very sad. You don't get to go stab a little boy. For proof of these altars, because T left all the evidence, but her altars were apparently really smart. So it kind of tickles me that T's the asshole and every other alt set her up. I know, serious topic, but if true, hilarious. Except that Gannon had to die, and that's not funny. Yes, I use a lot of dark humor, So just bear with me. If this is not your cup of tea, I can't change who I am. This is how I deal with stuff. In fact, let's see if I can favorite t-shirt of the year. You're so funny. Thanks. It's all the trauma. This is just how I deal. So if this is not your jam, I completely understand because it can come off as disrespectful. But let's get back to the notes for the love of tiny baby Cheetos, Marissa. T claims that there is proof of these altars. There is, in fact, proof. Tisha herself has TMJ, and let me just tell you that if the entire world would pray for just one thing, it would be for this woman to be, I don't know, brought down by a case of lockjaw, because every time she opens her mouth, BS comes out. Now, she said when she's Taylor, she has no lockjaw problems. The doctor, the male doctor gives her a pin. I don't know if she has to sign a release or something, or if he's doing the clock test or seeing if these different altars have different writing styles. Again, some of this is not really clear, so I just write what I see and what I can what I can hear, after several times. She claims the reason she doesn't remember, or she kind of sees everything that these alts do as a dream or in a dreamlike state. Again, the male doctor wants to push her as to why she cannot answer a question, but he doesn't push too hard. The female doctor does ask if she has alts that she's unaware of. And T does claim, yes, I have several. Like she just made up Janelle that she found because she was in segregation. T claims that she starts to find out about these alts that she doesn't know about in kind of before jail time by finding different email accounts that she's never set up and things like that. She even claims that she has one alt named Princess Jasmine that flew to Dubai. Can I say that I pictured herself like normal being shipped off by Garfield to Abu Dhabi to leave us all in peace when she said this? And then praise be to tiny baby Jesus. This particular clip is done. This is just the competency interview. I can't even begin to imagine the treasure trove that I would get from Dr. Lewis's videos, but Dr. Lewis will be discussed later today in the Dick of the Day award. Not so much her, but her audio. Because, oh my God, her son is terrible. If you have to hire someone to make videos, oh my God, let them be more competent than me. But that's all I'm going to say on that. Have a lovely day. Try to be a little bit less dickish if possible. It's a tough world out there, though, so I understand. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.